Başladık mı yani? Hello guys, welcome to Heavy TV. Today we are going to talk about one of the oldest music traditions in the world. Where does it come from? Which instruments does it comprise of? And who plays it? How old is it? Do you have any idea? We are going to answer all of these questions today. It is Turkish folk music spread through all of the Turkic regions, thriving through millenniums. It exists in all of these lands where the Turkic people live and influence. And with being one of the oldest music traditions, it is also one of the most unique traditions, technically speaking, and due to that it has given rise to the most interesting music instruments, and we are going to talk about all of these things in this video. As the Turkish people call it, Türk halk müziği, the music of Turkish people, it comprises of many interesting instruments. For example, my favorite one is bağlama, and then there is the bağlama has its own type, like it's divided into three major types like saz, divan saz and meydan saz, and then we have tambura, jura, çöğür, uçteli, tulum, kopuz, kabak, kemanı, tipsi, kaval, and even more. Like, it doesn't end there because it has thrived through millenniums. This music tradition has uncountable instruments and it has influences over the world throughout Europe and Asia, and that's what makes it so unique, and that's why I want to talk about it with you today. I'm going to start with a very interesting fact here. The oldest known violin is present in Italy. I guess it's in a museum even today. It was made by a musician called Andre Amati in 1564 in northern Italy. And so we know that the oldest known violin is from the 16th century. But what if I tell you that there is a variant of violin, an instrument that is played very similarly with the bow in Turkish culture, in Turkish folk music, and it's way older than the violin we know. Guess where is it from? Guess how old is it? It's called kemençe, and it's, according to some historians, more than 5,000 years old. Did you know that? I bet not. The name kemençe is also itself very interesting. Kemençe comes from the Persian word keman, which means bow, like bow from bow and arrow. And interesting thing is, like, they gave the name of the bow, the thing they played the violin with, the instrument with, and they just gave the instrument the name of the thing it was played with. Then comes my favorite instrument, bağlama. It goes all the way back to 1600 BC, and what makes it unique is the number of strings it has. It has 7 strings, and because it's very old, it has its own types now. It's divided mainly into 3 types, as I mentioned earlier, and the type vary according to the length of its arm, and when the arm is longer, it has the ability to play more notes. So that's what makes it unique. You can call it the Turkic version of a guitar, but I guess it's older than that. The ancestors of bağlama come from Central Asia, and the main ancestor of bağlama is called kopuz, and the variants of kopuz are still played in Central Asian countries. For example, you can see people in Kazakhstan playing something called dombra, and it's also a very beautiful instrument, and you can see it on screen how unique it is. I don't think we can find such instruments right now in contemporary music world, and these instruments have a very unique touch of voice, of sound in them, and I would like to name it melancholy. Like, the touch of their sound is something that just makes us sad, it makes us remember our pains. Like, that's what makes these instruments unique. Another instrument from the Black Sea region of Turkey, it's called tulum. Tulum literally means the skin of sheep or goat, and because of the skin used in the instrument is called tulum itself. And what makes it unique is that you play it in a flute, in a recorder sense, and the sound goes into a sound bag, and the sound bag tries to adjust the sound, and something very, very different comes out of it. And if you listen to it, it will mesmerize you, I'm pretty sure. And I'll mention a very, very interesting fact here about tulum as well. There is a very similar instrument to tulum played in, where do you think would it be played? Nowhere near Turkey. It's actually nowhere near Central Asia as well. It's played in Scotia नहीं दिया इंग्लिश जैसे.
Scotland.
Yes, Scotland. It's also the national instrument of Scotland, and it's called bagpipes. It's a very literal name of the instrument. Like, it has bag, and a bag is connected to pipes. The pipes, you blow in them, and then the sound goes into the bag, and it creates the very, very beautiful sound. And you can hear people playing it in Scotland on coronation ceremonies and the formal ceremonies of the country. So I think it's a very interesting fact that I needed to mention here today. The traditional Turkish songs, as the Turkish people call them, türküler, which means something that a Turkish person sings, also have some stories related to them. And the stories are not just stories from 200 years ago or something like that. They pass on from generation generations to generations, and the stories evolve and change. For example, there is this very famous song everyone knows in Istanbul called Skudara Giderken. It has a story related to it, and most of the people know that story. But that particular story is only 200 years old. There was a story related to a very similar song with the same melody, but it was a different story 1,000 years back. The melody remains same, the song evolves, changes, and the story with it changes as well. And it's what makes the Turkish music culture even more interesting. Then we come to another instrument. You must have heard the name of it. It's called bouzouki. It's a Greek instrument. It's a mix of guitar and bağlama, and it came into being when the Rumlar, which is the Greeks living in the Turkish regions, migrated to Greece, and they tried to make their own version of bağlama, and they ended up making a very interesting and even more beautiful instrument called bouzouki. The name bouzouki itself comes from a very logical background, I'd rather say. The tuning system that is used in bağlama, it's called bozuk düzeni, which literally means the broken order. And this bouzouki, since it's very related to bağlama and its rules are also very linked with it, they played it on the same tuning system, the bozuk düzeni, and because of from the word bozuk, they made it bouzouki, and they named the instrument after tuning system of bağlama. Then we come to some technicalities here. In the notation system of Turkish music system, there is something that is not existing in contemporary Western music, I'd rather say. The thing that we call commas or micro tunes are not existing in the music we hear today. Another rare thing about the Turkish folk music is something more rather technical. For example, you have the F sharp and C minor. In Turkish music system, you can have multiple F sharps and multiple C minors, and they don't call it sharp or minor. They would rather call it diez, iki, diez, uch, or bemol, iki, bemol, uch. So that's what makes this system even more unique. Since this system developed through centuries, millennium, and it took parts from all of the places that it existed and it passed through, it was not having any notation system. It was rather passed on from one generation to the other, and it was not recorded. When the Turkish Republic was formed, the founder of Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, was himself very invested in this integral part of his culture. So he tried to make it in the notationary system, and for that what did he do was very interesting. He formed a group of musicians who traveled through the country, who went to remote villages, listened to old people composing and singing these songs, and they recorded it in the notationary system. And this is how this whole music system was recorded in the notationary system. If we look at it, it's a very diverse and deep topic because of the time span, the time frame it has developed in, and because of that I can go on talking about it for months, but I had to compress it down into one video, and so here it is for you, the Turkish folk music. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to watch more informative videos like this, stay tuned to Hebe TV. See you in the next video.